Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 311. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, joined, here as always, except when he's not, by BT Calloway.
I'm gonna miss this place.
And returning champion, Pete Quinnell.
Hello. Hi. It's lovely to be back. Thank you for having me back.
Welcome back, and introducing brand new champion, Tempest.
Hello. I am looking forward to having a perfectly cromulent time.
That's what we intend to do here on the Simpsons Index, as well as reviewing Simpsons. But today we've got a special guest wrestler in the lineup of the episode, so I thought I'd bring on two of wrestling's biggest brains, biggest minds on the subject matter. But first, more importantly, for our fans that are more interested in the Simpsons, Tempest, we turn to you first. What is your Simpsons history? Where did the show begin with you?
I've been watching The Simpsons for honestly as long as I can remember. I have a lot of older brothers, and if they're not quoting Seinfeld, they're probably quoting The Simpsons. It is basically limited to those two things. And as such, I had to kind of play catch up and watch all of the classic Simpsons episodes in order to understand what they were saying. That is exactly what I've done. I did it box set by box set back in the day, including one that may come up later in this episode. Absolutely loved it. I think it's the best comedy writing maybe ever. And that has only continued in my appreciation for it as I've gotten older. I've continued to watch it in my spare time, with friends, at home, during my breakfasts, whatever. I love this show. I have loved watching this show as a youngin' and as an adult, and I'm going to love talking about it today.
Oh, wonderful. Perfect guest today, then. But yeah, you're talking about growing up with Simpsons and Seinfeld. So you grew up in Canada, right?
I did indeed.
Yeah, because for us in Australia, they were often like put together on the reruns that like would be the appointment viewing at 6 o'clock every night. We'd get a Simpsons, then maybe for Australians, Neighbours, and then Seinfeld at 7. You know, was that the same with you? Obviously not Neighbours,
it's always tough because I never ended up watching a lot of Simpsons on TV, because by the time I got around to it, we were kind of in the down years of The Simpsons. A lot of what I did was just kind of watching it back on DVD box sets after the fact.
Yeah, the use of the term box set really gives your age away.
Yeah. Why? What should I be saying? Oh, God.
No, it's not to say you shouldn't. It's like, oh, okay, I'm around younglings.
Yeah. But no, I mean, these sort of shows were mixed in amongst a lot of Seinfeld, a lot of Friends, a lot of reruns of Friends on at the time.
Yeah, classic rerun stuff. So how about where you're at with the show now? Are you watching new episodes at all? Are you keeping up with the program, or going back and revisiting classics? What you doing these days?
Still a lot of go back and revisiting classics. That's how I typically consume the show these days. But I don't say that I would really like keep up with the episodes, but everybody's favorite Simpsons analyst, Super Eye Patch Wolf, tends to do a new analysis of the show every so often, and I kind of consume the show through his videos, talking about zombie Simpsons, talking about, is the Simpsons good again? When all of a sudden in a recent season they've had kind of a spike in quality that they haven't had for years. So I kind of like to keep up to date on the general quality of the show through his videos, but I don't end up watching a lot of them myself.
Oh, I don't think we know that. Do you know that guy?
I do not.
Super Eye Patch Wolf, was it?
And that is a guy that I also plan to bring up on this episode, because there is there's a point that he raises in one of his videos that I want to echo for this episode that we had today. So yeah, he's great. One of my favorite content creators.
So is he super or his eye patch super? I'm just trying to get the mythology down.
That's TBD, you know? I think that's open to interpretation. That's in the eye of the beholder, I think.
Or the single eye.
In the eye patch of the beholder.
Yeah.
All right, well, we turn to our returning champion now, Pete. Has anything about the last episode we made you watch inspired you to keep up with new Simpsons? Have you delved back in after the whodunit of Who Killed Comic Book Guy's radioactive man on the cruise ship?
Yeah. Unfortunately, no. That episode wasn't, it wasn't my favorite episode of The Simpsons we've ever watched. So no, I haven't. I think I've been more kind of in the same vein as Tempest. I've been more abreast of like the general quality of The Simpsons, but I've not dived into any particular episodes. I've not got the urge to start watching again. I will very occasionally watch the odd episode here and there. There was a podcast that a friend of ours does, Adam Blompier, on his Patreon page does a podcast where he does like a top 10 of his favorite things, and one of the episodes he did was of his top 10 favorite Simpsons episodes.
Oh, awesome.
And listening to that podcast, I was like, oh man, yeah, some of these episodes, this is classic. And then like later that day I was like, I'm gonna go watch some Simpsons. So I went and watched like all of those episodes that he mentioned specifically in that top 10 list. I wanted to go revisit those classics, which was great. So I've seen some of those again, but again, I've not seen any new stuff really.
Well, apparently, according to this episode, there won't be any more new stuff because this was the series finale, ?
Actually, they reboot at the end of the episode.
However, yep. So let's get into the episode review today. This was Season 36, Episode 1, Bart's Birthday. First released in September of 2024, directed by Rob Oliver, written by Jessica Conrad. In this episode, it's a fake finale, and they bring Conan to host the finale gala and then present the AI chatbot hack GPT, whatever they call it, that writes the proposed Simpsons finale, which talks about Bart's 11th birthday. But Bart in the AI program goes rogue. He doesn't want change. He doesn't want to turn 11. He doesn't want everyone to leave Springfield and move on with their lives. He wants everything to reset at the end and go back to wacky new adventures. Hey, y'all, what do we think?
Yeah, look.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I thought, generally speaking, it's a more creative idea for an episode than most of The Simpsons that has preceded it for the last couple decades. I thought as well, a lot of the comedy of the episodes was still fairly surface level, but because of the kind of episode that it was, there was also lots of like fan service and Easter eggs thrown in, where I, as a lover of classic Simpsons, was perfectly capable of going, oh, there's that thing that I know, and made me enjoy it that much more. And maybe that is just like me tasting the frosting of a less well-constructed cake and being like, enjoying. But
hey, still frosting.
Yeah.
I would not say this was a bad episode of The Simpsons. As Simpsons episodes go, I would not say it was bad. I would just say that it's still not as it used to be, which is
Definitely
not something I think anybody expects it to be at this point either.
Not in season 36 and not
No.
for the series finale, no.
I mean, look, they opened with a pretty good line of, The Simpsons aired, and immediately fans complained it wasn't as good as it used to be. And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel seen, targeted, and I actually appreciate it.
Well, yeah, like that does make you think, was there anyone out there that was like, nah, peak Simpsons was the Tracy Ullman shorts? Like,
Probably. I'm sure you can find someone who's going to die on that hill for some reason.
yeah, there's some, like the most hardcore Simpsons fan. Yeah, they sold out, you know. How about you, Pete? What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, I think pretty similar vibes in that I liked the concept of the episode. I love the kind of introspection and the self-aware nature and the weird place that Simpsons finds itself in, where it has to kind of keep churning out content despite the fact that there really isn't anything left to do anymore. They're still gotta just keep going, and they are unable to finish, and it is just this constant like stuck in this loop of just being like, we just want it to end, but we just can't because there's just too much money and we can't not do it anymore.
Yep.
I thought that was a fascinating little concept to go into. And yeah, I think I laughed like a couple times, you know, in it. And it was, and they were, you know, they weren't like out loud belly laughs or anything. That was a couple of little nose exhalations, you know, that was
We call it
nice.
the dislodging snot.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But then I think it was still like a poignant end to it, where it all just resets, and it is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. Should it end? Like, I think that's an interesting thing to talk about. I don't think it's Simpsons in general, I think, is like, it's less of a comedy show now, and it's more like about the nature of creating stuff, which is like what this episode was about, which I think is very interesting, but it's just not the same comedic highs. If you want the comedy of The Simpsons, it's not going to be that anymore.
No, a guest recently made the point that, like, Simpsons now is like SNL, where it's more of an institution now rather than just the impactful comedy show that it once was in its heyday. And that's really stuck with me reviewing these.
Yeah, to say it's
latter
turned
eras.
into a different beast is very accurate. And, you know, I've seen posts from people who are like, everyone's talking about how the show's not good anymore, and they want it to end, but I don't want that thing that's been such a constant in my life to go away.
Yeah.
And I do get that. Like, it's...
You got to turn 11 sometimes.
I know,
though.
but that's the thing. That's the other side of that coin.
What do you think of the episode, man?
Yeah, overall pretty good. And again, I think the concept really works, and what they did with it works. It's very have your cake and eat it too,
Yes.
but in a way that I think they got away with. In the sense that, yeah, they can have all these background characters and jokes and references that we'd normally kind of groan at, but in this one, it's like, okay, you're allowed to have that, even if occasionally, because I watched this with my girlfriend, I'm like, why are you laughing at the guy with the big hand? I'm like, don't ask. It's far too much backstory.
Yeah.
And even then, there's a lot of self-referential humor, but subtly hidden. Like, I'm 90% sure the final song playing is the "You'll Never Stop the Simpsons."
It is?
And I had to stop, because I had to go back and double check that's the music, right? And again, my girlfriend's like, well, what music is this? I'm like, well, they had this episode where they had this joke song and then pitched a bunch of terrible plot lines at the end of it. But then they went and did those plot lines.
Yeah.
So to reference the joke where they talked about how this show's going to go until it becomes nonsense in an episode that's meant to be the false end of a show, but also isn't. The fact they pulled that off is pretty amazing.
Yeah, referencing a bit where, from a season 13 clip show where they were like, you'll never stop the Simpsons, and 23 years later they make this. Fucking insane. Like, I really enjoyed this because of the whole, like, it's been the persistent question, and especially for us doing the podcast, how are they going to end this fucking thing? And there's so many pitches out there, like, but I don't think I ever saw in any fan theories or predictions or whatever, they won't. Like, and more to that, they will just do a series finale early just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And I think there is a lot of creativity running through, especially like the opening gala sections, making fun of the pompous nature of series finales and the self-loving and self-grandiorizing nature of it all. Like, and I think they really, really had fun with it.
I would agree. Like, generally speaking, I was a little astounded by the level of introspection that happened on this episode. Like, the kind of jokes where immediately it's like it debuted and the fans said that it wasn't as good as it used to be, like right off the bat. That is a level of meta jokes that I wasn't necessarily expecting from something like this. And it just kind of goes to show that there are people writing the show that are very clearly like intelligent people. It's not just, 100 monkeys and 100 typewriters just churning out whatever they can and throwing it on the screen. There is a deeper level of thought there. It's just, what do you do with a show that's had so many episodes and so many ideas go into it? Balancing that out, it was really interesting because you could see kind of like there was something to this episode. Again, it was a very creative idea. And the way that they were able to present not only a creative idea of let's end this fucking show, but also do it while taking digs at themselves, taking digs at the fans, and everything in between, I thought was really interesting. It's like that to me is a really fun thing to try and analyze and look deeper into than analyzing just like, well, here are some of the jokes that are still kind of lame, like the actual comedy writing of it. Like, it doesn't actually have that same sort of charm or the same kind of impact that a similar joke from 30 years ago might have had. It's a really interesting section of this episode that I wasn't necessarily expecting.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point with the comedy of it, because I think that's the one thing that this episode is really lacking is some big belly laugh jokes. It's more aha humor rather than haha humor. Like,
Oh, I get that reference. Splendid.
yeah, it's more, I see what they did there. I acknowledge that. There's a fun wrestling reference for you there. But anyway, let's kick off the questionnaire. Pete, we'll start with you. For better or worse, what's a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
I think one of the bits that I latched onto, just because it sums up the kind of tragedy of the current day Simpsons, is the bit where Bart goes to the Krusty show to be like, well, this thing will never end. And Krusty's like, it's the last spectacular, and we're going to do all these last jokes. And he's saying, we can't keep doing the same material forever. And then it just goes around to each of the characters from The Simpsons, and they do their one bit. You have the Hibbert laugh, you have the Frink, you have, Barney burping, all that stuff. And it just goes around each, like, the individual bits from the characters. I was like, oh, that's kind of tragic. Like, that is really, really tough to be like, yeah, they are just replaying the classics, and you just gotta keep churning out the same jokes again and again. It felt like almost like a cry for help. Like, it is like, we don't want to do this anymore, but this is what we have to do, is just keep hitting the same jokes again and again. So that bit, I saw that and I was like, oh my God, like, this is really tragic.
It's worse than that, Pete. It's worse than that, because the bit of everyone doing their catchphrases in a row is also a fucking joke they've already done.
Yep.
That's already a bit. And this time, it didn't have a punchline. It was just, yep, here's everybody doing their thing. Not like the first time they've done it, years ago, where everyone does their catchphrases. You get to Lisa, everyone looks at her, and she just says, I'll go to my room. They cut to credits, and Homer goes, what kind of catchphrase is that? That's funny. There was no joke here.
5.
It was just everyone doing their fucking bit.
Elliot, that was 31 years ago. Get it free.
Yeah.
Brutal stuff.
I think that's what makes it even more, like, tragic, is they're just like, we don't even have to do a joke here. We've just got to do the bits. People just want to see Barney do a burp, and they go, woohoo!
People want to see their TV friends.
Yeah, and that's it.
There's a potential video right there. The Simpsons, how it went from comedy to tragedy. So, so gradually, I didn't even notice. Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker's on the thumbnail, animated like the Simpsons.
Well, honestly, like, some of the better episodes that we've liked from the 30s seasons, like, have been actually more emotional heavy hitters, like, that, really delve into deep and heartfelt concepts. So, yeah, maybe they are just turning into a drama now.
Yeah, look, fine. As long as it's good TV, I don't really... It'd be odd to be like hard-hitting drama, The Simpsons, but...
How about you, Tempest? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you, for better or worse?
Well, I've got a quick one. As I was saying earlier, when there's loads of these like little, Easter egg type jokes, little fan service type moments, when they were showing a screenshot of them feeding all of the Simpsons to the ChatGPT robot or whatever, and the pile of DVDs is falling over because the season 6 box set's in the middle, I was like, that's a good fucking reference. That's
funny.
exactly what I paused it and went back a second to be like, did I see that? That's exactly what I wanted out of that one bit. So shout out to them for that. But the bigger takeaway that I had later in the episode, as things are going on, Bart's handing out his invitations and everything. And they go to the auditorium, and Skinner says that this is my last day. We're shutting down the school or whatever. And I'm moving to so-and-so, and groundskeeper Willie's coming with me, and maybe Superintendent Chalmers is going to show up too. I was like, this is really interesting because, again, it feels very similar to, like, the Simpsons spin-off showcase episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where you've got, Skinner and Chief Wiggum going off to be private investigators and everything. And it's delivered with that same sort of cadence of like, hey, maybe I'll show up and we'll have wacky adventures together.
Maybe you should tune in for our adventures coming soon.
Yeah, like kind of tongue-in-cheek. But at the same time, I suppose this was sort of the point, but it felt Uncanny Valley, like it was being recited by a robot. And again, given the nature of the episode, I could very much see that being intentional, but just the vocal performances of it all really did hit the Uncanny Valley in a way where I was like, I don't know if I like this. Maybe that's the point, that I'm not meant to, but it was really interesting hearing something that I identified from an older classic episode kind of being done very similarly, comparatively speaking, here, but noticing the difference in either the vocal performances or the writing or what have you. That was honestly the time where I sat down and went, let me actually ponder this and have a think about this episode more than just, oh, there's John from Homer's Phobia sitting in the crowd or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, on that, I like how the episode does start out with all, like, the visual references to the celebrity cameos that they've had over the years. That's, like, yeah, a real, like, pause to fucking name all those sort of moments. But speaking on the uncanny valley of it all, because this is, like, the newest episode we've reviewed so far, and, yeah, that was one thing that stood out is, some of the voice actors, they're getting old, aren't they?
Look, age comes for us all.
Yeah. Did that hit you guys particularly hard this watch, or?
Yeah, I had a few moments.
I noticed.
Where it's like, you didn't used to sound like that.
Yeah.
Well, Principal Skinner especially sound like... I never thought about what age he is, but here I'm like, Principal Skinner's not in his 70s. I know that for sure.
Or is he?
In his wacky new sexy adventures.
I mean, he fought in the Vietnam War, so...
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, it's always a funny thing with media where it's like, I think about this with X-Men a lot, where it's like, well, you know, if Magneto is going to be someone who is, you know, in internment camps, you know, in Auschwitz and stuff, it's like, well, now if you're making that story, he's got to be like 90 years old at least. So at some point, Principal Skinner can't be a Vietnam veteran if we're making the shows and it's meant to be set in 2024, 2025.
Yeah, we've kind of slammed against that a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh, the other week when we reviewed that, Homer was into like hip hop, 90s hip hop, like, and it's like, okay, so he's been on both sides of Generation X, where he both started grunge and then was also influenced by 90s hip. Okay, sure.
Look, at this point, we probably need a joke of like Skinner saying something like, I fought in Iraq. Really? In Desert Storm or in the War on Terror? Don't ask.
Yeah.
Let's not set that in stone.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't do a lot of like wobbly Simpsons continuity references here.
Yeah,
but
there are a couple of missed opportunities, I think, for sure.
How about you, BT? What stands out to you from this one, for better or worse?
There are a couple of missed opportunities. No, what I'm actually going to put on the praise side of things is really the simplest thing that I kind of forgot, but then was the biggest hit for me was, you know, it starts off on the episode, in quotations, is, you know, Bart's birthday. And oh no, Homer didn't hand out the invitations. He's got to run around Springfield and get everyone to come to his birthday. The simple fact that when you then get to the birthday and you see 11 on his cake, and you're like, oh, that's what you're doing. Like, Simpsons have had birthdays before, but they've never tied an age to it. And so I never processed that idea until they literally put it in front of me. And I was like, that's really good. That's the simple, here is change happening finally kind of thing.
Yeah.
In a way that was there the whole time, and it just never clocked for me, and I did appreciate it. I'm like, okay, yep, you got me.
Yeah, because I was trying to think, because like obviously they did that episode where it was his birthday at the pizza party. You're the birthday boy or girl.
Yep.
And I know they did another one in the teens era, but I couldn't quite remember. But yeah, it is the sort of thing where seeing that 11 actually has impact.
Yeah, and in that episode, is Bart turning 10, or is he already 10 and is having a birthday late or something? And similarly, you know, we get the song Lisa, it's your birthday, but we do not specify age.
No, she does mention in that episode, the lost, forgotten episode that we're not meant to talk about, that she does mention it's her 8th birthday during that. I do remember that.
So it's like, okay, so all the ones she was 7 retroactively? Yeah. But even then, it's not, hung on enough to really matter.
Yeah. But, and I'm going to say what stands out to me, for better or worse, is those opening clips where they were showing the potential series finales that they were already going to do, and that they committed to the old animation style, like, really warmed my heart, because it would have been just easy for them to whip up a new clip and then do it, but like that they went to the extra effort of doing the old style with the really thick line weight and that particular shade of yellow, and then just had the Bart the Daredevil thing, but have the skateboard completely impale Homer.
Yeah, obviously tying into the whole fan theory of, what if the rest of the show is just a death dribbler?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I feel like the rest of that was also kind of a bit of missed opportunity. Like, I don't then need to see Homer getting cleft in twain when going down the ski ramp, or, you know, the causing the nuclear blast, sure, but it feels like there should have been other ways to show the end of how they potentially were going to end it without, you know, killing Homer off.
Yeah, he would have been the easier. I don't want to see them kill off any of the other family members.
I mean, something like, all right, we're going to, what's the move? Where do they move in You Only Move Twice?
Oh, it's a Cypress
Grove.
Yeah, something like that. God.
I know.
I will remember it in like 20
I'm sorry I've
minutes.
infected everybody with this thing.
3-time Simpsons trivia winners. We should have
I
been able
know.
to do
I feel
this.
embarrassed on behalf of all of us. Yeah, but they just go, oh, we're going to move to Cypress Grove, and then that's the end.
Yeah.
Something like other endings would have worked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Homer's definitely the funniest one to kill. No one wants to see Marge cleft in twain, as
No,
you said. Anyway.
most definitely not.
I will say, I think that explosion one is one of the times I did have a nose exhalation in the episode. I don't know what it was about that one in particular, but it is like, I think it must have just been like the cadence that they had with it. It reminded me of the very, like, the timing of the joke reminded me a lot of like old classics Simpsons episodes where like something crazy will happen, and that just the idea of him getting shot up into the blimp, into the nuclear reactor and everything goes like the timing of those beats happening. I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, then also wanted that cut with like other potential endings with a nuke, like Sideshow Bob setting off the bomb and stuff like that, and just be like, we thought about nuking them a lot.
Have someone enter Moe's and then the whole thing cuts to black. Anyway, they did a reference to endings before. But this does lead us perfectly into the next part of the questionnaire. Tempest, we think on the Simpsons Index that, what made a classic Simpsons episode was their awesome way to balance wackiness and heart. So, first of all, how was the wackiness in this episode? How were the cartoony moments of this one?
I thought it was like fairly suitably wacky, generally speaking. Like, I kind of struggle with modern animation a lot more. Like, you talked about the style of the old episodes being brought back for the clips at the beginning. I think it really just kind of shows the contrast between that and the current iteration of the Simpsons animation, where I see that and go like, well, if we could do it for the clip, why can't we just do that all the time? Because that looks better. I think it applies to so many different long-running cartoons where I just like the style of animation more. And I think it lends itself to that kind of like, the stretchy, bouncy, kind of cartoony animation style that we were used to in years past compared to now, where everything's a bit more stiff, it's a bit more static, there's less of that charm. But generally speaking, like, if I put that gripe with animation in general aside and just look at this episode, I thought it was a wacky enough plot. I thought that they did a well enough job of balancing the wackiness and the heart at the very, very end after the resolution of it all. Like, I liked how they kind of resolved the birthday thing and shut down ChatGPT by having Bart appeal to Homer's terrible fatherhood, basically. I thought that was very kind of true to The Simpsons, even if I thought the writing was a bit kind of direct.
Well, yeah, because it's an interesting thing on that, because I think it was in like season 22 or something, they had kind of what was meant to be the full stop on the whole Homer strangling Bart thing, where they did a big episode and Paul Rudd was a guest star as a therapist, and they had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar choking Homer. Anyway, it was a thing, but it was essentially them going, oh yeah, it's pretty fucked up that this was one of our running gags. We're not going to do that anymore. And I like that, it was a plot point here to glitch and reset the Simpsons Matrix. And similarly as well, like, they didn't make such a big song and dance out of it, but they had retired Bart's butt at some point in the run of the show, because it's like, oh yeah, it's another weird running gag that we have a child constantly flashing his ass. And he uses it here to break the Krusty show and like in his first attempt to reset the universe,
Yeah. Like I said, I think it balanced out about as well as you could expect, for modern Simpsons. I liked that. There were still like plenty of moments that I thought were suitably wacky and did get, a sharp exhalation out of me as well. It was like, at a certain point, I'm really gonna miss this place bit. Like, it took the classic comedy cycle of like, okay, this is a joke, and then it's a joke again, okay, this is the bit, and then it happens like one more time and I'm like, it's funny, and then they do it again, I'm like, no, now you've gone too far with it, So that running gag through the episode, I went on a whole journey with, of not really caring, then thinking it was funny and clever, and then being like, okay, now you've overdone it, as all classic comedians face.
Oh, it brought me back by the end, and I did have to keep a counter of it. I counted 8.5. I'm really going to miss this places, the half, just because Wiggum's got cut off at the end before, and Bart cut him off. Yeah, but I think the one that really killed me and maybe one of the wackiest ones was like Mo just randomly out of nowhere, I'm going to miss this place. And then the rat in the mouse hole, the classic cartoon arch.
What kind of made me dislike that is they had the quotations of what the mouse was saying underneath. It's like, guys, I get it at this point. You've done it 6 times. I know what the mouse is saying. I don't need subtitles.
Nah, that's a good point. It would have been funnier without, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. But yeah, who else got good I'm going to miss this places as well?
Milhouse's dad was, I think, the one that got me.
Dad. Good. Yeah,
just turning the light off and just leaving Bart in his son's room.
The fact that they brought it back to his Can I Borrow a Feeling mixtape, I mean, was not seeing that coming and really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Especially through, sure, why not, records or whatever it was.
No, definitely. I guess, one of the other big I'm going to miss this places and brings in one of the many guest stars for this episode, John Cena, who, already less than a year after this episode premieres, one of the things he says is now out of date. He is now a 17-time world champion. Coming off a run with the title belt, he's now lost it to Cody Rhodes, and a run that I think everybody enjoyed and thought was just brilliantly planned and perfectly executed.
I feel like this is sarcasm. I don't know.
We need Frank's sarcasm detector.
Yeah.
Baby, it off the charts.
If you want to introduce this guy as a 16-time world champion, you could have done that for like 8 fucking years. Yeah. And the time where they bring him on and do it is when he breaks his record. Unreal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because when did he announce that he's getting on his retirement tour? Because this was September of 2024.
That was Money in the Bank last year. So like June of 24, he announced he was going to do a retirement tour.
Right, so he might have recorded this episode in 23 or something. Yeah, that's a hilarious timeline for that as well.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
So yeah, what have you guys been thinking of John Cena's retirement run so far, sarcasm aside? Or more sarcasm if you like.
Boo! Tomato! Tomato, tomato, tomato! Oh, I was just talking to some friends in a group chat about this. Like, legitimately, I don't think I have ever seen a more poorly booked retirement tour. Let alone for someone that WWE touts as their trademark, bolded, italicized, greatest of all time quote.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's the greatest of all time. He wouldn't be near the top of the list of wrestlers I would consider the greatest of all time. He's a very successful wrestler. He's a very successful entity within wrestling. He drew a lot of money, was on top for a very long time. At times, you can point to higher than average quality of work, depending on the year. Other times, not. But to have that guy go out with the year that he has had is... I'm not even a fan. I don't even like John Cena. Like, I've never been a John Cena fan. I'm not the one, like, praying for this great all-timer retirement tour filled with iconic matches and whatever. Like... But as just someone who consumes wrestling, I think it would be kind of fucking common sense to book him in a match with, I don't know, AJ Styles here, do CM Punk at Money in the Bank, and not in Saudi Arabia. You know, like, I don't know at this point if we're ever going to see a John Cena versus Gunther match. Instead, we're getting Logan fucking Paul. So clearly, their priorities are in a different place than mine. And I think it's ridiculous. I think his heel turn and his run as a bad guy have been all-time horrible stuff. After what looked like a great angle to turn him heel, the subsequent story, his title win at Mania, and everything that's come after that, save for losing the title in what was a very good match. Otherwise, dreadful stuff.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately is going to go in the Wrestle Crap book of lists whenever they release a new edition of how not to do something like this. Holy smokes.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting point in time that we do record this because, we've been trying to get this podcast together for a while and it's just this was the time that worked. But we are at an interesting point for the John Cena run because, broad strokes for any non-wrestling fans, BT.
Hello.
John Cena, perpetual babyface, turned heel at the start of the year. Ooh. And at the time, it was like a big moment. And it was like, this has got so much potential. They could do this, this, and this, and this. And then then they, as Tempest indicated, they did the worst possible version of it. And only just last weekend, was it, that he dropped the title to Cody and sort of tied off that bow of the story, but then just randomly as well said, the creative for this heel turn has been bad, so I'm just face again, pretty much.
Sorry about that.
Not even giving a story reason for turning face, or I've seen the light, or, oh my God, I let down all those Make-A-Wish kids. None of that. It was just breaking the business. It's just like, no, this was crap, so we're just turning. And
wow.
So, and then at the end of this pay-per-view where he drops the title back to the good guy, Brock Lesnar, a person who has been named in Vince McMahon's sexual trafficking lawsuit, still not cleared, not totally innocent. They bring him back and sort of indicate that they're going to set up a program with Cena and Brock Lesnar. And then they also announced the other day that John Cena's headlining their next Paris pay-per-view against Logan fucking Paul. I cannot tell you guys, I am so done with WWE right now.
Big same.
Big mood.
I am so glad AEW is a thing, and it's like, it's been my preferred brand since I've gotten back into wrestling, because I'm done.
Yeah, that is... Speaking as an outsider, that's some bad shit.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's not even
is.
getting into any of the particulars of the run as well.
Yeah,
just broad strokes.
Like, just the idea of letting the veneer drop and be like, by the way, guys, we are just going to change directions here. Soz, it's, even I know you don't do that. That's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
He just said, sorry about that. I was wildin'. Like, let's just forget I was doing that. You couldn't have even done, 2 days later, he has the match with Cody Rhodes, comes out as a heel, but has this valiant, great match with Cody where he's trying to put him down. There's no nut shots. There's no belt shots. There's none of this. And just
No
at the
Travis
end,
Scott shots.
No, after a brilliant match, Cody beats him, and he's getting the standing ovation because he's had a great match, and he goes, wow, they still care. And that's when you do a handshake and you come back around to a babyface turn.
Yeah,
no, they took the
stuff.
easiest, laziest possible way out. And I as someone who looks at pro wrestling first and foremost as a storytelling art form, you're looking at some of the worst shit that I have seen. Triple H is not as bad as Vince at the end, but he's no better than Vince was 10, 15 years ago. It's all the same problems.
Yeah, it just strikes me as like reading a book and getting partway through a chapter and being like, actually, I don't like the way this is going. Sorry about that. I'm just going to start writing a new part. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know what? I actually think the whale is a pretty nice guy. I'm going to stop hunting him. Yeah.
I called him Moby Dick. Now I call him Moby, my best friend.
How about you, Pete? Where are you? Are you still keeping up with WWE wrestling in general, or?
I mean, kinda. I'm keeping up with the broad strokes, and it's just like, oh, this is happening. Whatever. I didn't watch SummerSlam. I didn't want to. I was debating watching it on catch up afterwards, but then I saw that Lesnar came back, and I was like, I don't want to watch anymore. No, I'm done. Screw you guys. I'm checked out now. So. Yeah, I'm not keeping up with it anymore. So we'll see. I'm sure that when the Rumble comes around next year, I'll might check that out because it's the Rumble. That's always a good time. But aside from that, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You guys have ruined it. Well done.
But to bring it back to The Simpsons, I thought his appearance in this episode was quite good and quite funny.
Yeah. I definitely got a good joke out of, the baby gets born. He's like, who can't see me? You can't see me. Like, all right.
Yeah.
I was like, I understood that reference. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of, the kind of shit that one would do on a series finale to, have the big name celebrity come in and, give birth to comic book guy's wife's baby.
Not even just the little joke he drops of, first of all, we often complain about The Simpsons having cameos like, what are you doing in Springfield? But Bart's delivery is like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then to follow it up with, well, I'm here to celebrate the launch of Otto's new THC-laced energy drink. I'm like, that's such a good... like the running joke of this thing of having everyone going on to bigger and better things, and just to have even John Cena, the cameo is there for a cameo reason to plug a new product.
I do love a THC energy drink though, and like I shudder to think because that might be a thing, but I don't know. It isn't.
Someone's probably tried.
Oh yeah, that's certainly a thing in my neck of the woods.
Get sleepy and want to move.
Yeah, a stimulant and a depressant at the same time. That's
yeah,
fun.
cancel out and feel exactly the same. Yeah.
It's tough though. Like, it's weird because I think you're right. I think John Cena's cameo in this show was handled well enough. Like there were some funny bits. I also liked the "you can't see me" thing for the kids and all that. But I do think, again, like, as you said, as we've seen time and time again, the celebrity cameos in The Simpsons have very much been like, and now here is this person.
Yeah.
Welcome them to the stage. Clap, 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 clap.
There's a big thing of like, the turning point is definitely, I don't know where it happens, but the cameos would be voicing a character to the cameos voicing themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when that turn happened.
I was just going to say that. And it's funny because there are still like, Danny DeVito is in this episode as Unky Herb later at the end of the episode. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember when these cameos were done the way that I would like them to be done. Because here's another example of it right here in front of me. And I think he and John Cena come out like one after another in the birthday thing. It was like a perfect contrast in real time.
No, I love that. Yeah, the Unky Herb. And how about for Unky John Cena? It's just like, okay. No, that's good. You got your money's worth out of his appearance. But yeah, just bringing up the other celebrities, we also had small cameos from Tom Hanks returning from The Simpsons movie. We also had Joel McHale with a little bit of a self-deprecating humor, another person that's got a lot of failed series and had to do a lot of series finales. And Seth Rogen, this wasn't a new recording. They pulled an old audio clip of him laughing and then had to get permission from him and pay him just to use that old recording from when he was on in like season 20 something.
That is a funny detail though.
It was one of the ones that got a chuckle out of me because it's like 1/2 second longer than it would be, just in time for the person next to him to be like,
just I think give him Lady Gaga as well. And also Amy Sedaris has the honor of being the 10th actor to voice Maggie Simpson.
Well, that just happened.
Jesus.
I don't have the full list, but that's like, Nancy Cartwright, Yardley Smith, Matt Groening doing the pacifier sounds, and then celebrity guest Elizabeth Taylor, James Earl Jones, all have voiced Maggie at some point.
I would put that in my Twitter bio. Like, 10th actor to voice Maggie. I would rest my head on that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, love Amy Sedaris. That'd work well. Yeah, only person to voice Princess Carolyn, 10th person to voice Maggie Simpson. Surprise, mid-roll ad. Haha, got you. Anyway, won't be long. Just going to tell you about our other podcast, Starring Springfield. We're reviewing the movies that star the cast of The Simpsons. That's it. Back to the show. And playing the Hack GP robot as well was, I'm going to fuck up this last name, Mark Proksch, Proksch. An interesting consonant cluster there. So if you don't know him, he's a comedy actor. He played Nate in the later seasons of The Office. Again, minor character late in the show. And he was also in Better Call Saul on a brief arc where he was like supplying pills to Mike and then he used the money to buy this ridiculous yellow Hummer. Anyway.
I know the guy. I've seen Better Call Saul. Yes, that rings a bell to me.
Massive that guy energy. But one of the biggest celebrities that they got to come back for this one was Conan fucking O'Brien, who gets to do a big... What do we think of his performance in this episode? Great, and it works for the bid as well. Oh, full. He left his sweater here in 1993.
I liked Conan in this episode a lot. It was the perfect person to do that, obviously with ties to the Simpsons, and you could play a lot of the jokes that they had with canceling shows, and then at the very end, one last, I'm not going to miss this place, and turn off the lights. I thought that works perfectly for him. A lot of those things were very much written with Conan O'Brien being the host of the gala in mind. And it makes it feel like, oh, it's not just he's the one that was around or he's the one they could get. It felt much more woven organically into the episode, and I give them points for that.
100%. It felt a lot more poignant to have Conan be the guy to do that. And in contrast to what we were just saying with a lot of the other cameos, where it's like, and now here's this person.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need that introduction for Conan O'Brien because he's, like you said, so woven into the show. It's not just, look, a recognizable face. It's like, no, this is a person that is important to The Simpsons, talking about The Simpsons. This is what it's for. And I liked, like you were saying before, the arc of the I'm going to miss this place joke going all over the place. But then hitting the line at the end of I'm really not going to miss this place, I was like, huh. Yeah, okay. I see why you've done that. That's good.
Well, yeah, because they invited him back to write the movie, and he was just too busy with late night, and he thought that sort of his brain's just changed, and that's not the point of the career he's at anymore. But this is like a lovely arc for Conan and The Simpsons here, starting out in the early seasons as a writer. And then we talked about this episode before, Bart Gets Famous, where, they have that bit where Bart appears on Conan O'Brien's show. And they did that before, it was set in stone that show was going to be around for a while. That was still they made that while it was still very on shaky ground and tenuous, whether or not that Conan would be picked up for another season. But I think they justified it by saying, well, if it does get cancelled, then it's extra funny, that they made such a big deal, and Conan being such a, pompous, only I can dance. And so, to bring it back into the arc of this, where, now he's hosting the series finale, I think, it was a lovely tribute to him as well. Yeah.
It felt like a good way to kind of tie off the thread that was Conan O'Brien's contributions to The Simpsons, which is always funny because he didn't write that many episodes by any means. In a lot of people's minds, if you asked, your random, kind of casual Simpsons fan on the street to name Simpsons writers, I bet Conan O'Brien is one of the ones that they would say first, despite not actually doing that much of it. But at the same time, bringing him back in to those kind of casual fans, I think makes a lot of sense. And again, ties off the thread of him and The Simpsons together very well by the end.
Yeah, it's a way to sell this whole concept really well from the word go.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a lot of reasons why this was for me watching is if you actually chose this as your exit point for The Simpsons, it actually does tie off a lot of these bows. And it's we're going to keep making it, but, here's a point where you can bow out if you like. Yeah. But how about the heart of this episode? Did we feel the emotions? Did we feel the bumps?
Look, the bit where Homer and Marge come back from their couples therapist and they're like, Homer's just I withhold affection because I was never given it. You're going to have now a functional trauma-free household, Bart. It's okay, that's nice. And then, you're really getting to a core of Homer that we've never gotten to before, despite going there many times. Yeah,
well, especially because I feel like they're referencing there the endless fucking Marge Homer problems. And then this is we went to therapy and we're bettering ourselves now. It's that's particularly funny. How about you guys? Did this get you emotional?
I don't think the intended emotion of the episode, the character's emotion, I didn't necessarily feel the emotion from Bart not wanting things to change necessarily, but I bought into the emotion of the meta-narrative of the show not changing, and that for me was the more emotional part of it. And I guess if you think about it from a character perspective, it's kind of horrifying of Bart literally being I refuse to change and I'm going to make it so that everybody is stuck here with me and nobody can be better forever. That's quite horrifying from a character perspective. But from the meta perspective of the show can never change, the show is what it is, and we will always be here doing this thing, is not emotional. But again, tragic, I think, was the emotion that came out of it. Was just oh no.
Yeah, that aspect gives it a very Twilight Zone-y vibe of everybody's moving on, and this young man can't accept it. What world is he going to live in?
Yeah, exactly. But so I think I bought into an emotion. It just wasn't necessarily the emotion of the episode, if that makes sense.
Much more existential, yeah. How about you, Tempo?
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of putting it. I think this episode evokes emotion, but it didn't make me emotional. If that makes sense. Like, I didn't watch this and go like, "Aw, it's the Simpsons having a big old hug at the end." You know, not the same way that like loads of other Simpsons episodes like could legitimately have made me cry at times, you know, because they are so heart-wrenching or warm and all of these things. Here again, it just spurred a lot more thought about the nature of creation, about the nature of imagination and creativity and all of these things, and what it means to change, what it means to not change, what it means to just do something forever. All of those things, again, it left me thinking a lot more. And with an introspective episode like this, I think in many ways that was kind of the goal. But if you're asking me if I felt, you know, a deeper, warmer kind of affection for any of the more tender moments, then no, not really. I don't think they ever devoted quite enough time to doing that in this episode. Maybe that was by design. Maybe that wasn't the point of the episode. But I certainly didn't get to the end with the birthday and seeing like the 10 on the cake and get a warm, fuzzy feeling watching it.
No, I mean, I definitely feel like part of the intended effect of this was very much like, oh, you want The Simpsons to end, do you? Is that what you think you want? You want warm hugs from everyone and then moving on to other parts of their life? You don't want us to... Yeah, sure you do. You see this? You don't want this, you idiots. Which I was kind of like... I mean, you're kind of right. Yeah. I don't want this. I mean, I don't not want an ending, but...
But this is an interesting question to ask for this particular episode. Did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? How's the character integrity, the show integrity? How's that? Well, I mean, obviously they're doing, you know, a non-canon whatever episode.
Yeah, very existential episode. But I'd say to that, the fact that it does pull this off, I think, feels very Simpsons. A lot of this feels like, you know, maybe not within the episode itself, but the kind of meta nature of it feels very sharp-witted and exactly on point. You know, you think of Behind the Laughter or the, you know, spin-off showcase or something like that. That always had a very... knowing nudge, both self-referential and referential to the fans, and I think this nails that. So
yeah. How about you guys? How was the show character integrity and all that?
It's interesting because I do think that it gave me a very similar feeling to episodes like the spin-off showcase or like a Simpsons clip show type thing. Well, it was like the 138th episode spectacular or something like that. I forget what the number was.
Nailed it.
But an episode like that, you know, that would be talking to an audience, that would be a bit more meta, a bit more self-referential. It gave me a feeling of those kind of episodes. And again, it's not something that is totally foreign to The Simpsons these days. I don't remember what the name of the episode is, but the episode in a recent season where people are kind of like running around a Simpsons virtual reality theme park in a way, you know, where
the kind of Westworld segment of one of the Treehouse
they're
Horrors.
living through all of the Simpsons like best bits, and they're kind of just devolving into themselves, whether it's Homer and the bush, you know, going in and out of the bush, or I call the big one Bitey, and there's just fans running around being like, that's my favorite Simpsons joke. That is the kind of level of, you know, meta that I think we were kind of working with here. And without an episode like that to precede it, I think this one maybe would have been a bit more jarring. But having been familiar with more recent episodes that deal with things like that, it did leave me just going, okay, it's another one of those. How well are they going to pull off that concept rather than being like, whoa, what? This is not my usual Simpsons. What am I watching here?
Yeah, and to that as well, another recent-ish episode, Lisa the Boy Scout, where like the Simpsons get taken over by hacktivists, and they show clips from like abandoned Simpsons episodes in an effort to try and destroy the show, where they have like Martin's actually a, you know, undercover cop in his 40s and, you know, ridiculous shit like that. Yeah. That's an episode that people have enjoyed, and we liked it.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
But yes or no, do you reckon you'd watch this episode again? Would this enter your Simpsons rotation?
Yes. Well, maybe not rotation, but I would return to it.
Yeah. Like, if someone put it on, I wouldn't be like, oh, why are we watching this shit? Yeah. You know, but like, this is the problem. Like, you're grading on a bit of a curve here, you know, where if I say this is a good Simpsons episode, it's like, well, a good Simpsons episode is this mountain of like works of art that are in many ways unapproachable by comedic standards. This is not on the level of that by any means, but per today's standards, I thought it was a pretty good episode of modern Simpsons. So if you're looking at it where if I had to choose from the catalog of Simpsons episodes of the last like 10 years, I might put it on if I had to choose one. But if I'm choosing from the whole catalog of everything they've ever done, there's probably like 300 episodes that I would pick first.
But it is certainly fascinating.
Yeah, like, because we've reviewed over 750 of the things now, and like, and I forgot to mention that at the top. This is the 769th episode of The Simpsons.
Nice.
And, you know, of all those 700 plus episodes we've done, like 70 got a perfect score from our panel. And then, you know, hundreds more get into the golds and silvers and what all. Like, it is crazy how many better episodes there are. They're talking about grading on a curve.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, it's only like 9% more.
Yeah. How about you, Pete? Would you watch this one again?
I mean, I think I might, just from like a curious like art perspective of the like the nature of creation and stuff. The making of art is something that's absolutely fascinating to me as a general concept anyway. And I love art about making art, and that is like amazing, and I love talking about that stuff. But so this sort of thing of the idea of not being able to end something, especially because for me, like, I think I value the end of something a lot more than the average person. I was having a conversation with somebody recently. I can't remember who. It was you. It was Tempest. It was Tempest. When I was saying about how I really value like a good ending to something, like I really want stuff to end, because I think having an ending is like one of the most important things to a piece of thing. Something is really good when it ends. So having the concept of this episode be about we don't end is really interesting. Yeah. And that to me is like, I like the idea of diving into the kind of metaphysical, you know, narrative of what this episode's trying to provide. So maybe I would watch this again. I think it provides me with some interesting, you know, food for thought. I like the idea that basically the whole thing of say the line, Bart, is basically the whole concept of the episode, where they just want to keep saying the line. That's it. That's all you get to do. Is interesting.
That's it. It is like fuel for a bigger essay, isn't it? Because like, and the episode acknowledges it as well with like polarizing finales, you know, the good of Breaking Bad or Mad Men or Sopranos, and then the bad of Lost, Seinfeld, and The Sopranos. That was fucking killer to me.
Yeah.
To that, do we ping all the clips over the credits of the season finals? I got most of them, but some of them I don't know. I was hoping to.
I got a handful. Yeah, I got Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones for sure.
I love Ralph as Bran Stark. That's great casting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a perfect choice.
Yeah, starts with this one. I'm pretty sure is Sopranos.
Yep.
Goes to MASH, Mad Men. I didn't get the next one. It's something to do with like TV news. I don't know.
Oh, was that the Frasier one with Sideshow Bob?
No, that's down the bottom.
Okay.
That's after Game of Thrones. We got Frasier.
Then they had Succession after that with the hand holding, and I didn't catch the last one with Homer in bed with some woman.
I looked that up. That is the Bob Newhart show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, where he wakes up and it was all a dream.
Did we get them all, guys? Did you have any more that we missed there?
You did a much better job with this than I did.
Yep. Big mood.
Anyway, what would you like to change about this episode? Let's say, given the same premise of the fake Simpsons season finale, how would you change it? BT?
Damn, I haven't even thought about this. I would add more of the potential ways of ending the show early, because I feel like there's a lot of missed comedy options there. I mean, the main thing I didn't get from this is a whole lot of laughs. There was some dislodged snot, and I got some good, you know, little ha-has, but not a whole lot of actual laughs. It's a weird criticism to level at things. It's like, be more funny. But it is, at the end of the day, a comedy show, and that's what I'm here for. Other than that, I do like it as something to chew on and think about, which is kind of, ask me this question in a week, and maybe I'll have an answer. But what it's doing, like, story-wise in terms of meta, I'm mostly for it. There's, you know, probably a couple of laggy lines, but yeah, not terribly much. Just make with the laugh.
Yeah. How about you, Pete? What would you like to do to change this one?
I don't know. A kind of similar thing. Like, I think that the concept and what they wanted to do with it, I think they succeeded with, like, the introspective nature of the episode and everything. It's just, I'd be funnier. It's the subtitle. I'd like to laugh a little bit more at this show, but I think in terms of the actual premise, I think they did what they wanted to do. Yeah, I don't really know what else I would change beyond that. Maybe, one less of the I'm gonna miss this place. One less of those, and then we're good.
How about you, Tempest?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna echo what a lot of people have said already. You know, and it's tough because this show is not the old show, but at the same time, if I'm watching The Simpsons, I kind of want it to be. So in the sense, like, I'm walking up to the TV and saying, "Come on, TV, be more funny."
Yeah.
But the structuring of the comedy of classic Simpsons, where they would just layer the jokes on top of each other, one after another, and it just kind of leaves it feeling like cram-packed with jokes, you know. This one doesn't necessarily. Like, there are jokes, and again, shout out to the lovely Super Eye Patch Wolf, but does a great analysis of the structure of Simpsons comedy, where their absence of your classic comedic setup, where it's, you know, setup, punchline, pause for audience laughter. The absence of that structure allowed them to cram a lot more jokes into an episode just by layering them on top of each other and not needing to give each individual joke a room to breathe. It feels a bit more now like they're doing it the other way, where a whole scene will kind of be for the purpose of setting up one joke, and that'll be it. And it leaves a lot of the other bits just kind of feeling a bit more like empty space. And I thought they did enough in this episode to fill that space with narrative. Like, it was still very interesting, but if it wasn't interesting, I would probably have a bigger issue with kind of the lack of, you know, yucks that we got along the way.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sorry, I quickly looked it up. It is the end of the Mary Tyler Moore show.
Ah.
Yep.
Well, there we go. They acknowledge some older and newer shows as well. But I was trying to think, did BoJack Horseman end between now and then? Because, I look back as that as like one of the best series finales can possibly do.
It was real good.
And Adventure Time as well. Another show that probably went on a bit too long, but had a fucking fantastic season finale. But then also kept going in some ways. I haven't checked out the new shit. Yeah.
You'll never stop Adventure Time.
But as for what I'd change, I unfortunately, don't have anything more interesting to add other than, it feels like a lot of modern Simpsons, it's a couple of rewrites away from being a pretty perfectly executed episode. I do feel like some of the more laggy moments were the Conan O'Brien and AI material, and I don't know, maybe that's just because, I don't know, hearing an AI joke these days where it's just
especially from a show that I'm pretty sure is going to do that at some point.
Yeah.
Like, they have enough to feed an AI. There have been some episodes that are so bad we suspected it was made by AI.
Yeah. Oh, there was one recently where like people were pointing out, like, listen to Marge's performance here. There's some auto-tune weird glitchiness going on here.
Yeah, but there's a gap between maybe using auto-tune and definitely, but who knows? We'll find out in time, sooner or later.
Yeah, exactly. And just because AI is just it's the thing that's so of the moment right now, and so many companies are just pushing it to, like, I'm in the market for a new TV and all of them are like, we've got great AI features. And I'm like, I don't want them. Please. Just be the thing that I can plug my Switch 2 in and we're good, bro. Like,
I watch the TV. I don't want to be told about watching the TV by someone that's going to get the details wrong.
Yeah. And then, so with a lot of comedy shows as well, also having their plots hinge on AI because it's of a moment thing. It's like, it's just it's just overexposed, and like they're not adding really anything new here. And especially like when they bring in those like 3 execubots, and it's like,
I forgot that happened.
This is a Futurama thing. These are like, they're just doing the same
Futurama did it.
of the execubots material. But anyway. All right, I think it's time for our final notes.
Now it's time for our finale notes.
Oh.
Everyone's finale notes.
Pete, any other bits of the episode, moments that happened in the episode you want to mention before we move on to the rankings?
I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much everything that I wanted to say. Again, as we've mentioned several times, this episode is just turning into a plug for Super Eye Patch Wolf, I think. But I just want to mention him again, just to say that like one of his videos that he did was about like this weird place that The Simpsons is at in terms of like, where are they? What are they doing? It's just about referencing the classic episodes now and not about actually making anything good anymore. So seeing that through, like, obviously I only picked that up through his videos because I wasn't watching the episodes myself, but now being able to watch one of these episodes myself and be like, oh, I understand this now is great. So I'm very glad you chose this episode for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it was good.
How about you, Tempest? Any other bits you want to mention before we move on to the rankings?
Yeah, there are a few little nuggets in the episode where they gave me a little chuckle, and I want to highlight them because they haven't come up yet. When the screen during the gala is doing like code and everything from the chat GPT
the very
bot.
Matrix.
Yeah, it's saying words like "embiggens,"
Yeah,
stuff
all
like
the
that. It's just like,
catchphrases and things.
yeah, it's little just Simpsons nomenclature, and I was just like, I appreciate that. That made me laugh a little bit. I paused the episode to read both of Lisa's acceptance letters from the schools, just to see if there was like any funny little nuggets in there. And they were pretty tame. There wasn't a lot to it. But I think the Juilliard letter says that she'll be issued her own set of dark sunglasses and a pork pie hat to wear in picturesque Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fun.
That's
I appreciate that if you're going to have a wall of text there for a second, that if you pause it and read it, it'll be worth your time. Oh, the other quick one that I had was when the chat GPT bot explodes and it says, I choose it, Oblivion.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a sweet reference. Like, again, I'm not immune to a lot of the, like, I understood that reference things, I see these things and I'm like, yeah, I get that joke. That's sweet, because I'm watching it once. If I watch it a second time, those things won't have the same impact on me the same way. But if I'm watching it once and reviewing it, I'll be like, these are all the things that gave me a little chuckle.
I did miss one thing I forgot to mention was I think where I'm going to miss this place. I don't know if it did end here or maybe they should have cut one out, but had this one be the last one was when the tire fire gets shut off by a switch. And I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a funny joke.
Yeah.
That should have been the combination of the joke. I think that should have been the last one to just be like, and send it home. I'm going to miss this place and flick off the fire. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
How about you, BT? Any other bits?
Of course. We get a Weird Al cameo. Always like seeing Weird Al in anything.
Yeah. Although consistently the episodes where he's had an appearance in The Simpsons have been like among our worst rated.
Yep. Not his fault.
Yeah.
There's a bit where they're like, The Simpsons' most profitable product, The Simpsons movie. Porno parody.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend just went, is that real? I just went, look, fucking probably.
Rule 34, if it exists, there's porn in it.
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, because we recently reviewed the movie and I was astounded because it was like, I don't know, 80 million budget and it made 560 million. It's just like crazy profitable.
Crazy money. The bit where Bart's walking through the auditorium, he's like, sunglasses kid, Uta, you're alive. Like, oh yeah, Uta has like vanished from the show at a certain point. But I think when he was getting chased at the field trip.
Yeah, and they have several jokes of how he died, and I like I think Bart's just skateboarding through Springfield and passes the church. They got funerals today, and they've shown a few characters who've died in episode, and it's got Hans Moleman, and it's just Hans Moleman looking at it, and I love that they didn't actually kill him in that moment. I like
because he's
we've seen him
died so
died
many
enough.
times.
Yeah, exactly. Just
my brains. There's a bit where someone accuses Conan of wearing a wig, and he's like, it's not a wig, it's a system. I don't know. That just got me.
Yeah.
And I think my last one is when Bart's just yelling at everyone, like, you can't change. He goes to the bullies, like, I don't care if the three of you are going to look after a baby with Hank Scorpio. And I was like, that's so stupid. I like it.
Again, to bring it back to the movie, that was one of the things we kept reading. People like, why didn't they have the villain be Hank Scorpio? It's the same voice actor or whatever. And I feel like in this moment it points out, bringing him back in any capacity is going to be ridiculous.
Diminishing returns, don't do it.
And I only had a couple more. I mentioned the porno parody. Homer outright killing Burns. Like, this ends up being like a surprisingly gory episode for something that's not Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah, they can get away with it.
But yeah, I love the detail of like, The plant's yours because Burnsy's dead. Surprise, I'm not dead. And then Homer accidentally kills him. It's like, well, it's binding.
Yeah,
so.
this joke will is binding.
Again, just to set up a crappy spin-off show. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody's
I love that.
rich now. I do like they shut down the power plant.
Yeah. Comic book guy calls for OBGYN Kenobi.
That was good. That was good. I forgot about that one. That one was on my list.
Yeah. Oh, and then soon after as well, where John Cena, the OBGYN for this one, is like looking for something to cut the cord. It's like, oh, Klingon Batlet. Nice. Just,
Yep.
I love the, implication that super jock John Cena is also a Star Trek dork.
I mean, surely.
I believe it. He's a weird guy.
I'd believe it.
Yeah. Powerfully weird. That's all the notes. It's time to rank this thing. Oh, wait, no, it isn't. BT, please ask the most important question.
I don't know where to start now because we got both sides of this coin. Okay, so we like to ask our first time guests, if you could have a sandwich named after you, what would be on that sandwich? So, if I'm going somewhere, like a little sandwich shop and I'm getting a Tempest, what am I getting? He's ready. Look at this face.
You don't know the can of worms you've just opened by asking this question.
Yes! So you're going to have a can of worms on your sandwich?
You're beginning with worms. Where do we go from there?
Pete already knows what's coming because there is a long, long story that is honestly not that interesting, but it has become part of Tempest lore.
We've never had lore before.
Yeah, if ever this potential thing gets brought up on the internet, you can rest assured that I'm tagged somewhere in it. The Tempest sandwich, which I honestly do believe that this is just what this is 2 pieces of white bread, peanut butter on both, with pickles in the middle, and it is fantastic.
Interesting.
That's it?
Yeah, it's a peanut butter
That
and
was a
pickle
lot of hype
sandwich.
for something. For something that was 3 steps, we had a lot of building.
Pickles and peanut butter.
I know. Interesting.
I gotta hype this up because it's the best sandwich you'll ever have.
Look,
Are you pregnant? What?
That's what everyone fucking says. Every single person I say this says, "Are you pregnant?" No. I was left to my own
You're just
devices to feed myself when I was like 9. And my 9-year-old brain was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a silly sandwich with things that don't go together." And I was sat down, I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh, and I just had some bread, I had some peanut butter, and I went, "You know what? Let's put some pickles on this peanut butter sandwich." And I ate it and went, "Oh, that's actually pretty good. That's actually really good." And
when I make this at home, we pickle slices like the circles, or we slicing the long ways? How am I doing this?
So it is specific, actually. It does.
Well, this is why
because the structural integrity of this sandwich is very important. You want smooth peanut butter to contrast the crunch of the pickle. The pickles need to be crunchy. So you don't want them to be like the little round pickle slices because there's just not enough pickle there. And you don't want to take a pickle and slice it too thin. Like, honestly, what I will do is I will take like a big chunky dill pickle and cut that either in half or into thirds and then just layer those around the sandwich. But every person,
That's chunky.
like, as long as I'm not a fucking freak that hates peanut butter for whatever reason, if you like pickles and you like peanut butter, every person that I have suggested this sandwich to has gone like, "Oh, that sounds terrible. I guess I'll try it." And I've done it on stream with people who have taken it and gone like, "That's actually pretty good. That's actually a really good sandwich."
Look, we don't come into this with judgment. I am genuinely asking because I intend to build this at some point. This is one of the more achievable ones out there.
Oh, yeah. We've had ones as well where it's just like, okay, well, we have to go to a specific deli to get this sandwich, but this one is
there was
very
one
accessible.
that was just covered in drugs.
Yeah.
I can't make that.
Well, for maximum effect for the Tempest sandwich, you might want to have one of Otto's THC energy drinks ahead of time.
Nice.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, one of the other controversial sandwiches that we included was Michael Swaim's. He just had a hot dog with peanut butter on it. And it was just like, I had the ingredients for it one night and I made it and I'm like, damn it, he's right.
All right, well, there you go.
Interesting.
All right, now, as I
Interesting.
said, the other side of this coin, the other flip of that bread, is we like to ask our returning guests, after however long it's been, have your tastes changed? Have they matured? Are you a different man now? So if we are getting your sandwich, Pete, what are we getting? Are you sticking to your original? Do you remember what your original was?
Genuinely, no idea what I said before.
Only 1 year ago.
Not a clue.
Look, I had a quick
Yeah.
read of it. It's on the screen here. I did not think
Oh,
you
God.
would remember it. It sounds very spur of the moment.
Probably, yeah.
All right,
I don't
the
know. Have my
original-
taste changed? I don't think. Yeah, no, go ahead. Send me the
I
original
mean, do
because
you
I'm
want-
going to need some help here.
All right, cool. The original circular slices of chicken and tomato and cucumber repeating served on a bagel.
That's the one. That's it, because it had to repeat, of course. Yeah.
Amazing.
Are you sticking or are you changing your answer?
You know what? For fun, let's just stick with that, because that's the gimmick. It's not even necessarily the best sandwich, but it's the most gimmicky sandwich, and that's okay.
It's memorable.
I'm
and
okay
that's
with that one.
important.
You're repeating your
Yeah.
answer.
Exactly.
Hey.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm nothing if not consistent.
Now it is time to rank this
Oh, yeah.
thing. So, on the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it participant. But for positive ratings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. I am going to give this one an extremely generous gold.
Oh, wow.
And I even flirted with cubic because I think it's like something that I think Simpsons fans should see. So I do think it's essential.
Yeah.
But I don't think it doesn't get into that like essential Simpsons thing. Like it's
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about, if you're going to put on a banger Simpsons
Infinitely
playlist.
watchable and
Yeah, this isn't that, but I do think it's actually an important part of the show, and I think it's very successful in what it sets out to do. And honestly, yeah, a few more big gut-busting laughs, but I do acknowledge that's probably pretty high. BT, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go with a silver for surprisingly a lot of the same reasons, in the sense that I do really like this one as an intellectual exercise, as something. How could you possibly finish The Simpsons at this point? The idea the show has become something other than what it used to be. All these things are interesting things to think about and talk about. Maybe it's not a big gut-laughing episode, but it's fascinating. And I will say that without any sense of irony. I genuinely find this interesting and worth dissecting.
Pete?
Yeah, absolutely the same. Silver for me as well. That I think it is. It is not a great episode, but it is a very interesting episode. And I think that is worth watching and consuming and dissecting and talking about.
All right, and Tempest, please finish it off.
I think you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth, Pete. I think that this was an interesting episode, but not a particularly funny one. If it had been funnier, if I had laughed more, I could definitely have seen it going up into a gold tier or perhaps even higher. I do think that they, generally speaking, succeeded with the meta narrative that they laid out in front of themselves that I thought was done very, very well. But if this is a comedy show, I didn't laugh enough for me to give it more than a silver.
All right. Well, it equals a shiny silver. And yeah, that's probably up there with some of our top-rated episodes of the 30s. We mentioned before, there's a lot of people saying, yeah, Simpsons are back. And it's like, the quality's slightly better, but we're kind of at that like mid-teens level where it's still mostly pretty average. But you know what? They're trying harder.
Yep.
They're doing some like more of these concept episodes.
Appreciate the effort, if nothing else.
Yeah, like mentioned before, Lisa the Boy Scout or that Treehouse of Horror, they're taking bigger swings, but yeah, it's still mostly Zombie Simpsons. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I appreciate being had.
No, I'm great getting to chat Simpsons with you, and having you back, Pete, and meeting you for the first time, Tempest. Yeah. What a wonderful morning you've had, and a wonderful evening we've had.
Couldn't have asked for a better way to start the day.
Well, before we get you on to the rest of your Sunday, plug your stuff, Pete. We'll start with you. What do you want to direct people towards?
So I have my own YouTube channel called Pete Repeat. I do video essays about stuff that I like, and sometimes stuff that I don't like. You might even see Tempest on at least one of them. It's in fact on two of them now, which is very cool. And also on social media, I'm at Pete Quinnell on most things.
Awesome. And how about you, Tempest?
I am also on YouTube. I also make video essays about, generally speaking, things that I like, sometimes things that I don't like. Primarily about wrestling, but I'm changing that this time around. I am doing a bit more of a broad approach to my YouTube channel. I will be primarily focusing on wrestling, but every so often I will throw myself a bone and talk about something else because I simply like too many things. My YouTube channel is at @HeyIt'sTempest. I am on Twitter at @Hey_It's_Tempest. So you can find me on both, and I'm sure that you will find something to like in time.
Yeah, liking stuff is good.
It's great, like, yeah, because absolutely love the work you guys do. Such like awesome, thoughtful essays, and I'm really looking forward to more of that in the future from the both of you. And I recently released Tempest. That Charlotte Flair video was just man, so good, and just like really eloquently stated like a lot of the problems, like what do I have, what's my problem with this person, why doesn't it click, so yeah, really encouraging people to go check that out. Links for all that and more in the show notes, like for our other podcast.
Well, Elliot, I'm actually going to use this podcast to backdoor pilot our new show where we just watch episodes of Super Eye Patch Wolf and review them. Coming soon to a YouTube
I would
near you.
100% listen to this. Please do it. I would do it. I would listen. Get me on the show. I'd do it.
Crap. How dare I create a fan out of nonsense?
No, that's set in stone now. I'm going to really miss this place.
Yeah, click. No, you can go to patreon.com/SideQuestStudios, where for as little as a few dollars, however much, I'm not going to pay attention, you can unlock like 260 exclusive podcasts covering a whole range of stuff, including things like, what movies the cast of The Simpsons have been in, or what's on these DVD extras I hear so much about. And if you're like, I can't afford that, you can go right now to whatever pod app you're using, look up Starring Springfield, and check out the free episodes of that very show I mentioned earlier. So many options for you, regardless of your level of wealth. Aren't we generous? We are.
Yeah, so that's our new show at the moment that we're really pushing hard, Starring Springfield, where we're reviewing the movies that star the cast of The Simpsons. Have you guys got any favorite Simpsons starring movies that come to mind?
Not Godzilla, we've already done.
I was just going to say the only one that immediately springs to mind is Godzilla, and that would not qualify as a favorite of anything.
I had to head you off there because everyone says that.
And it was our first episode.
For the exact reason that everyone says that.
I can't remember what I said last time, but I will say Run, Fat Boy, Run.
Hank
Azaria in it.
Yeah, it was maybe one of the only English-made films that are going to qualify.
Yeah.
Like, we've got like over 700 movies that qualify for our premise here. And yeah, so far, Run, Fat Boy, Run is the only British production that we've had. Also, later in a couple of weeks, we'll be reviewing Babe, which I think is the one of two Australian movies that'll qualify, Babe and Babe 2.
Who would have thought?
But yeah, I think it'll all already be out on the feed, but we're going to review the oldest possible movie that we can review, which is Abbott and Costello Go to Mars, which stars a 9-year-old Harry Shearer in it.
Amazing. Amazing.
Size the quotation marks around the word star for that one. But still.
He's in one scene at the start of the movie and never seen again, but
it counts.
I do have a real answer now. I've thought of one, because Harry Shearer is in The Truman Show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I fucking love that movie.
All right.
I've been really wanting a rewatch of that because I think that'd be so interesting now because it was made so much before the glut of reality TV.
Yeah.
Have you guys done a rewatch of that or recently?
I've watched The Truman Show like a few months ago and was like, holy shit. Holy shit. It's like a modern indie film made 25 years ago by a major studio. Like,
interesting.
Oh,
brilliant.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully we'll get to do that.
Yeah.
You have to sign up to the Patreon to suggest movies for us to review. And go check that out, patreon.com/SideQuestStudios. But for now, that's been the Simpsons Index. One more time, thank you very much, Pete.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Tempest.
Thank you very much for having me.
BT, thank you.
So are we done with all these now?
I'm going to miss this. I'm Elliot J. O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
I'm going to miss that mustard.
Click.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. We're also on social media. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on Threads. Links for all that and more are down in the show notes. And lastly, consider giving us a 5-star review. Why not? We'd do it for you. Now, there's no bonus scenes for this episode. Everything we left in was pure gold, so we'll catch you next time.